Right, so I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. Actually, it's been sitting on my list for almost 4 months at this point, but I was constantly getting interrupted by trips to Europe, the Murder Drones AU series that did way better than I thought it would, and most recently the announcement of the Gaslight District. But with plenty of people looking to broaden their horizons and look for something new after a slowdown in the amount of Murder Drones content out there, I think now is still a good time for me to introduce you to the perfect comic for Murder Drones fans. This is School Bus Graveyard, a webcomic by a creator known as Little Red Beanie that was the face of Webtoon for a few months last year. Now, I'm not one to spend a lot of time on Webtoon, being neither a fan of romance nor manga, but this comic specifically piqued my interest because of how not like other Webtoons it was. This comic is violent, it's full of interesting mysteries and different layers, has a fantastic unique premise that I could talk about all day, brilliant art, and a sick of other people protagonist with a sidekick who loves doing everything. Can you see where I'm coming from yet? So allow me to run you through the first season of this comic, along with some voice work done by my fantastic creative friends, and hopefully you'll be as big of a fan of this comic as I am by the end of it. Let's get into it. School Bus Graveyard centers around these 6 kids. Ashlyn.
Hi?
Aiden.
Hey!
Taylor.
Hi!
Tyler.
Sup?
Logan.
Hi.
And Ben. Ben doesn't talk, but we'll get into that later. The vast majority of the comic has the 6 together, but for the sections where they aren't, Ashlyn is our primary viewpoint, so we'll get to know her a bit more before meeting the other members. An introverted only child in the midst of her high school career, Ashlyn has never really been the friendship type. In fact, her parents are genuinely shocked when she first brings the rest of these lot over. They aren't bad parents, but they never really pushed her very hard in regards to socializing. The problem is made worse by the fact that Ash here has a condition with a very long name that essentially means that she hears things better than anyone else, to the point where loud sounds are very painful for her, hence the permanent headphones. Some of you might be thinking that this is a DEI hire by those damn liberals, but it will prove important to the plot in just a little bit. The story starts to get going when on the first day of the new year, Ashlyn is unfortunate enough to share the bus with this absolute character.
What do you mean? I'm a joy to be around.
You keep telling yourself that. She tries her best to ignore Aiden, but when it turns out that they have the same class, she regretfully accepts the fact that she's stuck with him and his quiet cousin. After an attempted escape before class, Ashlyn spots the typical high school sight of some varsity boys beating the living shit out of each other. You might recognize a couple of figures here. Finally, in a display of the fact that she's not completely heartless, Ash helps out this nervous wreck of a kid who's also apparently able to turn into a furry whenever he wants. This won't come up later, don't worry about it. Also, I may sound nitpicky here, but I spent $1.5 grand on this unit, so I really hope that he means astronomy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get nervous talking to new people.
Teacher Man out here decides to be an absolute prick and assign a semester-long group project, which is quite possibly the worst 4 words you could ever string together. Our 6 are put together mostly because they don't know anyone else, and they get told about the project involving the city of Savannah, Georgia, complete with an overnight field trip to the city. How they got funding for this is beyond me. Alright, that's enough of an introduction. You lot are here to see demons, so that's what we're going to show you. While out in Savannah terrorizing the locals, our group gets approached by this woman offering a cheap tour of a place called the Sorrel Weed House, which is definitely abandoned and supposedly very haunted. I think you can see where this is going. About halfway into the tour, our guide's emergency phone rings and she steps outside to take it.
Well, that's super professional.
I don't think that was professional.
I was being sarcastic.
At this point, the super hearing makes itself relevant for the first time. Ashlyn begins experiencing what she thinks is a hallucination, with eerie sounds and a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. She tries to play it off to prevent the others from thinking she's insane, but that backfires when she turns back around to them.
What's wrong with you guys?
Ashlyn, behind you.
The shadow demon touches her without her consent, then flees before the feds show up. We also get our first inclination that there are 2 separate realities here by the obnoxiously large shift in this frame. Tyler chalks it up to Bro Pranks TV looking for some easy reactions, but the pain in Ash's arm says otherwise, as does the little bit of dialogue we get from our supposed tour guide.
Her connection was really strong. I had to back up a few feet from the house or I would have gotten in trouble.
Now divvied up into separate rooms for boys and girls, we get a little bit of downtime during which Logan develops the photo he took of Ash and the creature at the Sorrel House. Tyler continues to deny everything, but the rest of the group starts to believe that there may be something more going on here, and they're soon to be proven right.
Why are you on the floor?
Nothing. Just a nightmare.
Did anyone else hear screaming?
Taylor!
Isn't that the thing from the sorrel weed place?
Whatever it is, we need to get out of here before it gets up.
What's going on?
Something's in the... Go. Go, go, go!
With one phantom trapped behind the door, the group starts to clue in on 2 things. Number 1, nobody else appears to be around despite the fact that there should be people all over the place. Number 2, There are a lot of these phantoms, and they are rapidly approaching their location. Ash tries to tie the door closed with some string from her and Aiden's pants, but that does about as well as you'd expect, and the door swings open instantly.
See? I told them.
Well, you weren't exactly offering up any groundbreaking solutions either. Thankfully, the cleaners aren't very protective of their supplies and left the car out in the middle of the walkway. The group make it to another room and barricade the door before Tyler proceeds to crash out and then gets humbled real quick by Ashlyn. A few minutes of dismantling the furniture and doing a reenactment of your uncle during Christmas dinner later,
I'll go get the broom.
and our group feels safe enough to talk things out. Turns out Ash can hear these creatures thanks to a weird sound they emit that the rest of the group can't hear, which will be somewhat useful and somewhat annoying for the rest of the comic. After doing sweet fuck all for the next few hours, keeping track via stopwatch since the clocks are permanently stuck at 12, Ash and Taylor proceed to wake up exactly where they were in bed before all of this went down, confused, disoriented, and running straight to the bathroom to heave the contents of their dinner into the toilet. Considering all of what just went down, I actually feel for these two random girls the most. Snap back to the present day, and Tyler is being just as much of an insufferable prick as usual.
Hey, I don't want to hear it out of someone who didn't have to go through this. Your stringy ass wouldn't have made it 5 minutes in there.
Calm down.
The group agrees that it's not beneficial to uproot their lives in the normal world to try and focus more on the Phantom one, so Ash is going to go to ballet class today. Aiden and Ben, having nothing better to do, decide to tag along, which causes Ash's parents to get suspicious for all the wrong reasons. We get a quick look at the rest of the cast days, with base grammar using the correct terminology.
I already said I was sorry.
But it's been a long day for the characters and a few chapters for the audience, which means you probably forgot that they left off here.
Oh yeah! Shit.
Before we get into that though, we have a little bit of logic explaining. Take it away, guys.
At 12 a.m., the sky turns red. The world becomes lifeless and mute, and the shadow-like monsters start to roam around.
We figured out a few things during the past couple of weeks. For 7 hours, we're stuck here. Even though time is moving here, time is stopped at 12 a.m. in our world.
This place seems to be influenced by our world, but doesn't physically influence ours.
Injuries that happen here can be felt but not shown in our world.
And we always return where we left off in each world.
With all that said, the shadow creatures take a moment to spawn back in, so we have just a little bit of time to get our bearings and hide under the seats. Ash makes a mess of it and almost gets those outrageous braids caught before Aiden pulls off some Wing Chun shadow jutsu and almost decapitates the Phantom. Keyword being almost, as it still manages to get a good swipe on our precious nerd with a gun. It's also here that these guys find their most effective weapon against fighting the Phantoms. Notice how the sky turns red every night when they get transported, making the whole world much darker. Yeah, that's because white light does this.
Cool!
Disgusting, more like.
And it is now, 20 chapters after they started talking about Savannah, that they actually talk about Savannah, with the final conclusion being that they will go back in a year. Bit of an arbitrary timescale, but Ash's reasoning is to allow enough time for them to get ready for everything and secure the graveyard as a solid base of operations. Also, none of them can drive or own a car, so it would be a little bit difficult for them to get back. Ash caps off her point with slashing off her own braids to make sure they aren't a liability again. Well, at least not in the Phantom dimension. Now it's a good time to explain why Ben is like that, beginning with a little bit of Logan bullying for good measure.
Hey, it's not bullying. I was just having a chat with my project partner.
The two of them leave before Ben decides to kick Barron's head in like it's made of feta cheese, but don't make it to class before the end of the period. During lunch, Aiden takes on the responsibility of explaining past events. And, well, let's just say it's not pretty. Long story short, Ben's voice box is messed up, and the sound of his own voice makes him very, very uncomfortable. Logan chimes in before the situation gets even more awkward to explain his theory about the link between the two worlds.
After we left Savannah, instead of us returning to the motels, we woke up in our beds back home. I think that means the bodies we use in each dimension are connected in some way. If they are connected, then what if there's a distance limit?
It is now time that I take a quick intermission to show you guys the best panel in this entire comic. I present to you this absolute masterpiece. I'm getting a 2-meter wide canvas print of it for my wall, though it appears the rest of the group are less amused.
Dude.
Turns out the shadow discrepancies are once again limited to these 6, so for now they're stuck with lying to Ash's parents, kinda, and getting combat lessons that way. The problem with bringing up weird tangents that go nowhere right before you ask the important thing is that said tangents tend to get overanalyzed. Nothing to overanalyze about the next scene though. It is simply all 6 of these idiots getting the absolute shit beat out of them. Not sure how you're supposed to take your midterms with fractured vertebrae. But I'm not the one stuck in an alternate dimension, so what do I know? Speaking of the alternate dimension, we get to see some improvements made to the graveyard during the month-long time skip, that being the construction of a large number of lights up on the wall to keep the phantoms at bay. This it does quite well, as no more phantoms can get to the wall. What they didn't factor in was the fact that a glowing beacon of light in an otherwise dark environment tends to attract a lot of attention.
Should have seen that one coming, eh?
Now we've come to the first major step forward in the grand goal of get the hell out of this dimension before it kills us with the plan to get the Jeep that is literally right there. But as they're about to risk their lives once again for this overpriced hunk of metal, some of our group starts to get cold feet, causing a slightly more justified crash out from Ash that results in Taylor backpedaling so hard she'd press Usain Bolt in the 100 meters.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't mad at each other before doing this.
But you shouldn't let her just push you around like that.
Says the one who got torn to shreds by her when this whole thing started. Look at that. Getting put in your place again.
Quick tangent to confirm that DC is in fact a thing in this universe, and we're ready to jump over a wall and commit Grand Theft Auto. All to the tune of Party Walkers. Gotta keep the copyright lawyers off our backs, hey guys.
It's a good song!
The rope, Aiden! The rope!
It's okay! I'm durable!
Idiot.
The first 15 seconds of the plan goes smoothly, right up until something that needs to be in a specific spot isn't actually there. You know, like the keys to the car you're trying to drive. Love the self-awareness from the author though. Logan is in charge of keeping watch because he's the one with the rifle. Unfortunately, he's also the one with the glasses, so they couldn't pick this jaunty little fella up off the roof, giving him the perfect opportunity to do some picking up of his own. Aiden and Tyler proceed to be very poor gymnasts and take 15 years to get up onto the roof, long enough for Logan to line up this shot and put a 308 through this thing's skull. The party is no longer rocking and the phantoms are streaming back in full force, which means it's time to get the hell out of here.
Okay, let's just stay in a circle. Me and Aiden will keep watch of the ceiling, and you guys cover the other angles.
You gotta be kidding me.
Now in the car and with phantoms all over the place, Taylor hits a 180 with surgical precision and slides the Jeep back into the graveyard. Well done lads, you did it. Just barely. Ugh, okay, someone's gonna need to clean that up. While our main cast are cooling down from the recent events, we get introduced, or reintroduced rather, to another set of players in this game, the Cranes. An elusive group with much more knowledge of the Phantom Dimension than both the characters and the audience at this point. Our tour guide from before returns along with the world's worst rogue. We also get told about a currently unknown boss figure who managed to spot something up with these kids, hence the stalking. There's also one more character we know that's a part of this group, you might just not have realized it yet. You losing track of things yet? Well, too bad, bitch, we've got even more background information. Now, the parents are getting plucked into this as well. They aren't quite in the dimension proper yet, but the phantoms keep appearing out the corner of their eyes and in dark spots in rooms. It's also similar to something they saw when Ashlyn was born. Hooray!
Really something to get excited about there.
Back with our group now, the good mood from before is being halted slightly by the author-admitted social stupidity of these two. We get some apologies from Mr. Durable, followed by a less intrusive version of that's for hurting me and that's for everything else. But don't forget guys, you're on your way to your midterms. And a personal message to Scatterbrain, running on limited hours of sleep, a feeling of dread, and limited study is not a good way to pass exams. But screw it, let's head off to the arcade anyway. Snap my ankles playing DDR, watch Aiden get all crushy, Taylor's horrendous basketball form, and poor Logan getting knuckle dusted by a hockey puck. All good fun, right up until the Barron shows up.
Sup, losers?
With Logan being off the market since he found himself some friends, Barron has taken to forcing another scrawny kid to do all his homework for him. Logan immediately recognizes the situation this kid is in and goes to put a stop to it, giving Barron a free makeover in the process.
I was going easy on him.
Yeah, sure you were, Barron.
This doesn't go down well with the rest of the goons, who charge Logan and prepare to rip his spine out through his mouth. Thankfully, the rest of our now martial arts trained group were aware enough to sneak around the side and proceed to curb stomp these posers.
Ashlyn!
It's so loud.
So it turns out that the Phantom Dimension is having an effect on everyone's psyches, making them irreversibly more violent and malicious. It's also obvious now that they can't hang around for a full year before heading to Savannah. They need to move, and quickly. Baldy reports back to the boss man about the fight and the conversation after it, meaning he too has to speed up his plans, that being to take the kids in and do something with them that we aren't told yet. Back with our core cast, we have a barbecue scheduled for a small child's birthday, and an excuse for all the parents to get together and talk about the weird hallucinations they've been experiencing. The group heads to their primary bus before the shift so nobody freaks out when it happens. That being said though, if they shift at 12 and come back at 12, would the parents notice anything had happened? Maybe if they all suddenly start it would be noticeable, but no time should have passed for them.
It's probably best not to think about these things too much.
Continuing with the plan of hurrying the hell up, the group get in the Jeep and go to test the body reset theory. In essence, if they go too far from their real world bodies, while in the Phantom Dimension, they'll be teleported back instead of resuming the night in the same spot. It happens when the regular body moves, but the question is, will it happen when the Phantom one does as well? While on the drive out to a different town, they start to notice that usually well-maintained roads and buildings have become abandoned and dilapidated. Time doesn't usually pass here, but something has made roots and vines grow regardless.
What happened to the road?
Ashlyn, we should turn back. Something obviously isn't right.
We can't,
Why not?
because it's right behind us.
Say hello to a Mega Phantom. It's massive, has too many limbs, and haunts my nightmares. It's also so large that the usual tactic of shine my light on it and watch it melt like ice cream at the beach is not going to be very effective. What's worse is this learner-ass driver is now expected to foil drive this Jeep through all sorts of random terrain. That goes about as well as you'd expect. A root jostles the car, Tyler slams into the side door, and the group hears a clink. And that's the first season of School Bus Graveyard. I know this is a departure from my normal style of video, but I had so much fun making it and I really hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to all of the fabulous voice actors who played a part in making this video possible. All of their links will be in the description. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching and have a good one.